I just wanted to say that I appreciated the way that Trump handled what I consider to be a bad person and a bad actor on the world stage, and that what happened today was exactly what I voted for.
And why did you vote for Trump?
I voted for Trump because I wanted the world to, for lack of better terms, bend the knee, to understand their place and our place and start acting like it instead of this fantasy that we've been living since the 90s that everybody is equal, which is obviously not true.
What makes Trump different from, say, the presidential politicians of the past?
He seems to have honor and integrity in a way that is more real. Like with Obama and Clinton, you had backdoor deals and all sorts of things that everybody knew that there was stuff going on behind the scenes. And with Trump, we're seeing the backdoor deals. Chickens come home to roost, to quote Obama era people. So that's what I like about Trump so far.
Who do you think is responsible for a higher amount of national debt in the shortest amount of time, Obama or Donald Trump?
Oh, I know that's Donald Trump.
I mean, that's not something you voted for on that, right?
No, but I can see the bigger picture there.
Can you enlighten us on the bigger? Are you talking about there's a positive side to having a larger national debt?
No, there's not. I can see how Trump was finagled into a position where he had to do that.
How so?
Well, with COVID.
Well, the 8.4 trillion doesn't really count that, though. I'm trying to keep the 6.2 trillion stimulus under the CARES Act out of it. Aside from that, he got us into 8.4 trillion by increasing the coffers of the military industrial complex at over 10%. And that's part of it. Like the national defense, the DOD got, a pretty big part of that. But aside from that, he increased the national debt higher than Obama did in 9 years.
Right. But what was the purpose and what is the end goal? That's the real issue.
What was the purpose of getting us into 8.4 trillion in national debt in 4 years?
Yes.
You're asking me, or do you know?
I have a theory, but what do you think?
I can tell you, I don't have to tell you what I think. I can tell you what I know. $8.4 trillion in national debt actually spiked the first 2 to 2.5 years of the inflation under Biden. It was directly as a direct result of the economic policies instituted by Donald Trump. So when you have economic stimulus like $8.4 trillion in national debt flooding the M2 money supply, you automatically devalue the product of people's time and laboring energies, which is a direct result of Donald Trump's 4-year term.
Right, but what do you do if the coupon that you're using is worthless and you have to convince everyone that coupon is worthless?
Are you talking about the coupon of the Federal Reserve note?
Yes.
So you're saying Donald Trump had a strategy of the reason he did the $8.4 trillion is to convince everybody that the American dollar is literally worthless?
Yes. I think that he's an old school Republican, and he's still pissed about FDR doing away with individual people owning gold. He hasn't even got to Nixon yet.
But how does that benefit Americans, though?
In the short term, it doesn't. In the long term, it does. In the long term, it ensures that you have a standard good currency. In the short term, it means that you have to, for lack of a better word, eat the shit that you laid on the bed.
Well, actually, though, doesn't it decimate all the holders of American currency?
Yes.
How is that tantamount to being a friend and a good American? Because you're actually stealing wealth. You're devaluing time and labor of every single American.
But it's fake wealth, like you just said, because it's already not real.
Well, we understand that, but still, you have to work harder to buy that dozen eggs. You have to be longer away from your family.
Yeah, for a couple of years, for sure.
Right, because we know there's no intrinsic value, but there is perceived value, and as long as there's perceived value, you can actually buy things that are valuable, like you can buy gold, you can buy silver.
Value anymore.
Right, but wouldn't you rather have perceived value of dollars strengthening instead of weakening?
Right, and you do that by destroying the lie initially.
But you're saying in order to destroy the lie, we have to destroy a whole lot of Americans' lives in the process. How is that just?
Oh, because they got fake money on the way up. I mean, it's too bad you can't have your position all the way through the end, but we're trying to roll through things that aren't what you perceive as the end.
So you can't have Donald Trump as the ruler and the leader of the free world getting up there behind the podium at the Oval Office and saying, here's the deal with the American dollar. Instead of devaluing it, we want to tell you what the state of affairs is and why it even has perceived value because it took to the petrodollar. And here's what happened with King Faisal back in the 1970s and OPEC and Nixon, and he closed the gold window. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to strengthen the value of your dollar because we're going to have actual backing. But instead, you're saying that basically this 5D chess move of devaluing the dollar is going to help Americans see that the dollar is actually worthless so we can implement another plan? Is that what we're talking about?
Kinda. I think you're. I disagree in a way with the way you're constructing it, but I agree with the end result.
Okay, well, I'm just asking a question. I'm just asking, like, what's the real deal there?
I think the real deal is that there's going to be two currencies, and one that's going to be used internally in the United States, and another one that's going to be used externally. And there's going to have to be a value that is issued towards both of these currencies. And the current system is a lie and has to be exposed.
So what you're saying is something that looks really, really bad, i.e. $8.4 trillion in increased national debt and the devaluation of the dollar is actually a really, really good thing in the long run.
Kinda. Because $8.4 trillion in debt doesn't really mean anything. You remember when that congressman offered that bill up to just issue a coin to China that was worth $3 trillion. Like, here's a coin. Good luck splitting it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, it is theater in a way, but it's not gonna matter.
No, I agree. I agree. It is theater and it is a psychological operation, but it's a psychological operation that works its way. What's that?
Sorry about my hair.
Sorry about your what?
My hair.
Oh, I'm not even looking at the screen. Sorry, I got something else in front of me. So what you're saying is, okay, I see you now. So what you're saying is the devaluation of the dollar through Trump's policies that increased the national debt and devalued the product of everybody's time and labor and energies, which it did, which has real world results. Now, I agree with you that it is a psychological operation. It is theater, but some of those psychological operations and some of that theater, like a good part in politics, has a direct impact on how long we have to work, how long we have to stay away from our kids to, actually accrue the wealth so that we can buy,
but that has more to do with your deal with your boss than it does with the president of the United States.
The price of eggs?
No, it has more to do with your deal with your boss than it does with the president of the United States.
You mean the boss that you work for?
Yes.
No.
The value of your dollar, the value of your time is between you and your boss. It's not between the president of the United States and the president of China.
No, that's apples and oranges, and I'll tell you why. Because you're talking about amount versus value.
No. I'm specifically talking about value.
Value of your dollar.
I don't want to cuss on your program, but I don't give a crap about minimum wage. I care about how much eggs my dollar buys. I care about how many dollars that it takes for me to feed my kids. I care about how many dollars it takes for me to pay my mortgage. I don't care about really anything outside of that. So when I have a problem with feeding my kids or paying my mortgage, I have to talk to my boss. I have to talk to the people around me.
So that he can give you more money?
Yeah.
But the reason he has to give you more money is because the people in Washington devalued your dollar. Now you have to make more of these to buy what you used to buy, which means
that's not really my problem as a peasant, though. My issue as a peasant is to push shit uphill. So if it costs me more money to buy eggs and I demand more dollars, then that's a problem for him to present to his boss.
So the crooks can devalue your dollar and engage in coin clipping, but it's your boss's fault that your coins don't buy as much as it used to.
Hey, he's in with the crooks, right?
Who, the boss? Your boss?
Yeah. He pays taxes. He pays taxes. He makes special deals with the local government. He makes sure that the police patrol his parking lot. He makes sure that he doesn't get charged with, normal crimes that everybody like I do.
Wait. You're talking about voluntary versus coercion. Your boss does not voluntarily pay taxes. He pays them through coercion. And one of the reasons he has to, and one of the reasons
he gets a big benefit from those taxes, though.
No, if he doesn't participate in the game, he gets punished.
If he doesn't participate in the game, then he has to face me and my friends when he doesn't pay us right. So taxes are his protection money that he pays to the state.
The protection racket money.
Yeah, from me.
You're making him pay the taxes?
I'm making him pay me.
No, you're not. You talking about an employer-employee relationship?
Yeah.
There's nobody making anybody do anything. That's a voluntary arrangement. When you sign on the dotted line and fill out your application, you are agreeing to make this much.
Yes.
And your company is agreeing to pay you this much.
Yes.
If you don't want to continue making that money, or you think it's too little, then you can go find another job, or the boss can give you a raise.
Oh, I know a magic word. Force majeure.
Before we go to the next thing, you do agree that you working for your employer is a voluntary arrangement. There is no coercion there.
No.
So they're making you work there for that wage. They're forcing you.
Okay. I'll agree with that.
Right, but you and your boss have an arrangement. You agree to it. They agree to it. At the point at which you disagree, you part ways, and nobody's forcing a gun at your head.
However, no. That's where the difference is. Because if me and my boss make an arrangement that he's going to give me 5 dozen eggs a week and 4 loaves of bread, and but he doesn't give me 5 dozen eggs a week and 4 loaves of bread. He gives me X amount of coins to get that, and then when it comes time for me to get paid and I go to the store and those coins aren't worth that, then my agreement with my boss is null.
That's not true on its face.
Like, how so?
Because he's agreeing to give you an amount. He's not saying, I'll give you this amount as long as it maintains this value.
Oh, but that's why I agreed to that amount. Because that's what that is. Because that's what that's worth.
Now, if you want to hold on a second. Wait. I want to stay with what you just said. If that was in the agreement, which I've never seen an agreement, all I've seen is, hey, this job will pay $17.50 an hour.
Oh, I agree. Labor agreements are screwed. I agree with that. Yeah.
Right, but I'm just saying you're trying to say something that it doesn't exist. I've never seen that. Now, if you've seen that,
no, I'm talking about facts. No, it does exist in facts. I agree to work for minimum wage because minimum wage keeps me fed. If minimum wage doesn't keep me fed, then the agreement to work doesn't matter anymore.
Then how is it incumbent on your boss to pay you more if you can't keep yourself fed at the current agreed upon wage?
Because he occupies my time in such a way that is supposed to keep me fed. That's why we made the agreement in the first place.
Wait, the agreement? What if you mishandle your money? Is he responsible for that too?
Nah, in a way, he can be.
Wait, if you misallocate your money by buying alcohol and cigarettes and now you can't put a roof over your head, you're basically saying it's your boss's obligation to make sure that you get even more money so that you can put a roof over your head.
No. What I'm saying is if I make an agreement with my boss for X amount of shekels so that way I can afford alcohol, cigarettes, food, and blah, 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 and the price changes for all of those things, then my agreement with my boss on the base level is just null. It doesn't work anymore.
That's not true.
How is that not true? That's the base agreement of the reason why I agree for $7 an hour is because I can buy a pack of cigarettes after my first hour, I can buy my McDonald's lunch after my second hour, and I can buy gas to get back and forth on my third.
Where is that reasoning articulated in the contract?
When we agreed to a certain amount of dollars to hour. That's what money is. Money is the agreement on what your time is worth.
Right. And the amount.
So if the value of money changes, then my agreement with my boss changes about the amount of money that he pays me.
I can't believe that you can't see that makes no sense. You're literally telling me it is your boss's obligation to make sure that you have enough to make ends meet.
No, it's my boss's obligation to keep up. No. I think I think your point. I think that's your point.
Yeah, that is what you said. Because it's your boss's obligation. Okay, let's say I'm going to work for $10 an hour. Your boss doesn't say and you don't even say in the application process, I will work for $10 an hour as long as that $10 an hour can continue to feed, clothe, and house me.
But isn't it? There has to be a base level of assumption for a contract to work, though. So if I agree to work for $10 an hour, then that means we both understand what $10 an hour is worth.
I disagree with your statement. I disagree. No? There's no base level of assumption in agreements. That's why you have to draw out everything in the contract. You have to exclude assumptions.
So a contract that ends with a money flowing between parties is essentially worthless. It doesn't matter as far as value is concerned.
No, only amount, not value. Not value.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, let's put it this way. Okay, $10 in 1962 could buy me 250 comic books at 10 cents a piece.
Right.
Now this same $10 can only buy me like 1.5 comic books because I've seen some of the prices on these are like $5.50.
Right, so but in 1972, I could hire a kid to pack groceries for $10. But I'm just saying, this is the base reason of the contract. No, in 1972, I could spend $10 to pay a kid to pack groceries all day, and he could buy 172 comics or whatever, and that would be worth it. But nowadays,
let me finish my point. Your boss only said he's going to give you $10. He didn't say he's going to give you enough to buy 250 comic books.
Oh, okay. All right.
He just said, I'm going to give you $10, whatever that value is worth. Now, the thing that I have a problem with in Bernie Sanders is that increasing minimum wage doesn't really help. It actually makes things worse because it thrusts people into unemployment. Let's say I'm a small company that has 10 employees. Now, Bernie Sanders says the 10 employees that I agreed to pay $15. Now let's not use $12 an hour. I agreed to pay 10 employees $12 an hour. And Bernie Sanders says, we've just made a law. Now you have to pay your employees $15 an hour. Now you got to comply with the law or you're going to get in trouble. So now I got to make a decision as a business owner. Hey, I only agreed with these people to pay $12 an hour. Your employees will come. And then you go to your employees and you go, hey, I got to make some cuts. I got to cut 4 of you out of here because I can't afford 10 people at $15 an hour. I can't afford 10 at $12 an hour. And all those employees come to you and go, no, I want to keep working for you. Please don't fire me. I'll work for $12 an hour. And you're like, well, I kind of can't do that because if I do that, and even though we have an agreement, I'm going to get in trouble. So that you're agreeing on the amount, but not the value. So
is it okay if I employ like an illegal or somebody who's on the run from the law or something for an under the table wage?
Of course. It's what does a third party have to do with you and I engaged in a business transaction? This is what I have a problem with on the drug war.
Okay.
If you want a bag of white powdery stuff, and you've got the money to pay me for the white powdery stuff, what business is it of a third party, call them government or whatever, to get in between yours and my transaction? You and I are adults, right? We're not kids. We don't need parental supervision. So if you got the money to buy my white stuff and I want your money more than I want my white stuff, there's the transaction right there.
But that's kind of apples and oranges too, because if you've got the money to pay one person a livable wage, but instead you pay 2 or 3 people a slave wage because they live together in the same apartment, like, I have a right as a person who would be getting the livable wage to have a problem with that.
It's not my responsibility as an employer to give you a living wage. It's my responsibility to live up to the terms of the contract, period.
Okay, I agree with that. But the terms of the contract will change if the value of the contract changes.
You mean the value of the money agreed upon in the contract? Where does it say that? Now, if it says that in the contract, yes, the employer is obligated to fulfill that contract. But I've never seen.
I'm just saying, like, morally. Like, if all of a sudden the dollar just, like, it costs $100 for a loaf of bread next week, you would feel perfectly fine and obligated morally that you paid me $275 for my 40 hours of work last week at $7.25.
I think that is a huge exaggeration, because if bread went up, if bread went up to $100, everything changes. Everything. Like, the company will probably no longer be in business if bread is $100. Because now, see, and there's macro and microeconomics, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know all the ins and outs or even a fraction of the ins and outs, but I do know that there's dovetail effects and there are dramatic effects. Now, when you get to a Weimar Republic Germany, where the value of the dollar changed hour by hour, it's like, here's the $150 for that loaf of bread. It's like, well, I can't sell it to you because now it's $250. When you get to that point, you've got economic collapse. But if you're talking about this gradual inflation over the past, let's say, 70 years, or how about 113 years since the advent of the Federal Reserve?
Yeah, where my dad could afford a house and go send his kids to college on one person working at a factory, but it takes two people right now to just buy food. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that would mean that the base level of the contract is wrong. Like, it's broken. It's a force majeure at that point. That's what I'm saying.
But who are you and who are I to say that contract is wrong if the people who signed the contract both still agree to it?
But I don't still agree to it. That's my point.
Then
I'm going to my boss and I'm saying, you have to pay me more because the dollar's worth less. And my boss says, no, we agreed.
What if he says, I see what you're saying, but we did agree to this amount and I really can't afford to pay you anymore? Then what do you do?
Oh, find his fucking house.
What?
Find his house.
And do what?
You know.
So you're literally going to threaten somebody's life?
Yes. If somebody tries to take food out of my family's mouth, tries to put me in the fucking gutter, yes, absolutely. You
do realize that you have just exposed yourself as being a violent person who, if you don't get your way, according to the terms of the contract,
I'm a violent person who gets fed. Wow.
No, you're saying I no longer agree to the terms of the contract, and the other guy goes, well, you have a choice. You can walk away. So rather than walk away and find another job, you're going to find the guy's house and do bad things to him?
Okay, you painted that well. I'll concede.
Well, I don't know. I can't believe you actually said that. I can't believe you actually believe. Do you really believe that, though?
What?
That you would actually
people owe poor people shit? Yeah.
What?
That rich people owe poor people? Yeah.
What rich
that poor people owe rich people too? I agree with that too. We live in a society.
Then why are you supporting that? You said you support Donald Trump.
Yeah, why wouldn't I?
Why don't you find his house? He devalued your dollar directly.
Like we said earlier, I think that he has a purpose in it. And everybody in between me and him is benefiting. I'm at the bottom of the chain. So what do I do?
He directly devalued your dollar, no matter what the purpose is. So wait. What if the employer who you said you're going to go find his house goes, hey, there's a purpose in me paying you this. Just hang on, okay? Because I got a plan. And you're like, but my children are starving. So you're going to give.
If my children were actually starving, I wouldn't accept that. But if I was on the line and I believed in him as a person, I would.
But Donald Trump did worse to you than Volodymyr Zelensky ever could do to you.
How so?
He devalued your currency.
How? How did he devalue my currency? How did you devalue my currency more than starting a war with half the world?
By diluting the money supply and by diluting.
He diluted the supply. He diluted the supply of resources. I'm against this war because it destroyed so much chance of peace. So much chance of peace. I don't care that the American dollar has to go through another reorganization like it did in 71 and in the 30s, and like that happens. It does. And I'm fine with that. What I'm not okay with is a guy like Zelensky he didn't start the war, but he continued the war. And
Zelensky did? Zelensky didn't start any wars.
No, he continued the war. The war started in 2014.
You act like Zelensky's in control. He's not. You act like Donald Trump's in control. He's not. You know, back in the 90s.
That is where we disagree, because I don't think that Shakespeare is gospel. Like, I think that there are real human beings who have real goals and real opportunities, and they pursue them. I don't think that there is a cabal in charge of the world. I think there are multiple cabals competing for the world.
Well, there's no doubt there, but is Donald Trump being controlled by, or is he controlling the cabals?
I think it's a little of both because of his position.
Are you familiar with what Adam Greenspan said when he was asked by a reporter what should the relationship between a president and the Federal Reserve Chairman be?
Yeah.
Do you know that based on what Amschel Rothschild said, give me control over a nation's money and I don't care who makes its laws? Do you realize that the people who are in the driver's seat of issuing and valuing currency are the ones who actually control Congress?
Yes.
And you know AIPAC controls Congress, right?
Yes.
And you know Donald Trump is pro-AIPAC, pro-Israel, pro-Zionist.
He has to be.
He does. Really?
Yeah.
So
that's the way the world works right now. You're at the beginning of what could be the end of this horrible thing that's been happening since Napoleon.
Do you know how bad Israel is for the world?
I think we might disagree on how bad Israel is for the world.
Really? $3.9 billion isn't bad enough?
No, not at all.
Blowing up, really?
No, dude, $3.9 billion? Like, no, they piss that away on railroad projects that go nowhere. That's nothing.
Oh, that's nothing. $8.4 trillion isn't nothing. $12.4 trillion, $6.2 trillion is nothing, because those are the figures.
Because that all goes to Israel.
Huh?
Because that all goes to Israel.
Well, and the military-industrial complex and Big Pharma under the CARES Act. Donald Trump did all that.
To multiple cabals that are constantly competing on an innumerable amount of fronts.
I'm shocked that you would actually propose voting and supporting for somebody who's for civil asset forfeiture, red flag laws, more money.
I'm very against that. Like my biggest problem with the United States right now actually is civil asset forfeiture and qualified immunity. That's my biggest problem with the United States right now. That's what I think the biggest problems that we face as American citizens.
Donald Trump is for both of those, right? 100%.
Yeah. I also know he's an old boomer, and there's only so much that...
Who cares what he is? He's a villain of America if he's for civil asset forfeiture and red flag confiscation law.
I can really understand an old man thinking that it's okay to steal all the money from a drug dealer, because that's what they think it is.
What does it matter if it's an old man or a young man? I mean, how does age have anything to do with it?
Because a young man, this day and age, would understand how much civil asset forfeiture has been used incorrectly against American citizens. An old man would think civil asset forfeiture is just used against drug dealers and mafia members.
I don't understand your thinking, man. I don't understand your thinking. If Obama did in his 8 years what Trump did in his first 4 years and what he says he's going to do in his next 4 years, you'd be against him, I'm pretty sure, right?
You'd have to give me an example.
Civil asset. What if Obama was for civil asset forfeiture, gun confiscation laws?
He was.
Were you against him for those two things?
Yes.
But you're not against Trump for those two things.
I am, but I'm not against Trump as Trump for everything that Trump does.
Really?
I'm against those Trump issues. I'm against those things that old man understands. I know boomers. I know old people. I know what it's like to just hold a retarded position.
So you'll give slack to Obama, but you'll give slack to Trump, but you won't give slack to Obama.
No, I gave slack to Obama too, but Obama was younger and Obama was more hip to a lot of things, and Obama still chose to do other things even though he was hip to those things. And then I watched Trump get hip to things during the Obama years.
Okay, let me ask you this. What would Trump have to do to get you to go, you know what? I really regret my support of that guy. I'm done. What would he have to do?
What would he have to do?
Yeah, because devaluing. Wait, hold on. Let me say devaluing. Let me just be clear. Wanting to shut down corners of the internet wasn't enough.
No. What do you mean by that?
He said, "quote I want to shut down corners of the internet to protect Americans."
Okay, what's the context of that?
I've got a video. There is no other context. It was right after he said, we want a biometric police state. We want visa.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember that.
He said, we want them on,
I'm not okay with that.
On land, in air. So that's not enough to get you to withdraw your support. Keeping big money.
No, because nationalism means something.
He's not a nationalist. He's an Israeli. He got $170 billion million dollars from Adelson and other Israeli lobby groups. He's in the back pocket of AIPAC. That's not enough. $6.2 trillion of the CARE Act isn't enough. Federal indemnity for all police forces and civil asset forfeiture and red flag laws.
I forgot about that. That made me so mad. I agree. I forgot about that.
Wanting to put an American in jail for a year for burning a Chinese-made American flag isn't enough. That's a violation of the First Amendment.
Where did he get the flag?
What's that?
Where did he get the flag?
It doesn't matter. He wants to put.
No, it does. It does matter because this is a big thing with people who complain about the rainbow flag burning Americans going to prison for hate crimes, which I completely disagree with. I hate crimes are not real crimes. It's not a real thing.
Do you think somebody should be put in jail for 12 months for burning a piece of cloth, no matter what flag it is?
It depends on where they got it and how they got it, in all honesty.
If it's their flag, if they bought it and it's an American flag and they burn it and they're caught burning it, should they go to jail?
No.
Donald Trump thinks they should. He's also the father.
I disagree with him on that, dude.
He's also the father of the VAXX. He was bailed out by Rothschild's Inc. under Wilbur Ross in the 1990s. 25 years later, he made Wilbur Ross the Commerce Secretary. So if all that is not enough to get you to withdraw your support for Donald Trump, what would be enough? What would he have to do? Not only that, he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein and said that he's a good guy.
In such a way that it sounds like it's impossible to deny. But I look at Trump and I'd say everything that I've seen so far, but this Epstein thing that happened the last couple of days is whack. But so far, he just acts like an old man. He acts exactly like I would expect somebody in his position to act. Like, I don't care that he has Jewish friends, and it's too bad that he's not red-pilled on all the issues, but...
It's not about having Jewish friends. Bibi Netanyahu is a literal war criminal with a warrant by the ICC. He hangs around him.
Right, but everybody who wins war is a war criminal, too, though. Like, I don't like Netanyahu. I don't like Netanyahu, I have to say, but everybody who wins a war is a war criminal.
You leave me speechless, my friend. I completely disagree with everything you said, but I got to move on to the next one. I appreciate you.
All right.
All right. Take care.